All right, we are live. Welcome, everyone, to the first episode of Aspire, a leadership development podcast, where we will be discussing the vision and experiences from our top educational leaders throughout this country. My name is Joshua Stamper, and you can connect with me on Twitter at Joshua_Stamper. And I'm very excited for the very first guest on Aspire, Todd Nesloney, the co-author of Kids Deserve It, the author of Stories from Webb, and the principal of Webb Elementary in Navasota, Texas. Todd, thank you so much for joining me.
Hey, I'm thrilled to be here, Josh. I'm so excited that you have started a podcast because I can't wait to kind of see what you take around with this. So I feel super lucky to kind of be the first guest.
Well, you've been a huge inspiration for me as a leader. I couldn't think of anyone better for the first episode. And that kind of gets me to, I just want to quickly talk about the motivation behind the podcast. For the last few years, I've had an opportunity to create a leadership development program in my own district. And although there wasn't really a whole lot of advertising for it, there was a large attendance. And it just dawned on me that there was such a need because there's so many people that are hungry for wisdom and guidance to be leaders in a district. And so there's so many educators that are even looking not to be just become administrators, but counselors and leaders within their own campus. And so I just wanted to find some quality educators to come on and to share that wisdom. So to start us off, Todd, will you just kind of tell us about your own personal journey as a leader?
Yeah, so I have a path that's a little bit different than most. I was a classroom teacher for 7 years in Waller, Texas, taught 4th grade and then 5th grade. Was loving every minute of it. I got my master's right away when I started teaching because I knew if I didn't go to school immediately, I would never go back for a master's. Also wanted to be the first person in my family with a master's. So I didn't actually think I would ever use it. I always was one of those people who was like, I will never be a principal. And of course, when you say never, you know what God does. So I got a Twitter direct message my 7th year teaching that said, hey, would you want to come teach at this school where they're all doing this project-based environment like you've been doing? And I said, I'm not really interested. And so they reached out again. They're like, well, would you like to be principal of the school? And I was like, again, I'm not really interested. I love what I'm doing. I feel like I'm at the top of my game. So I feel really good where I'm at. And then they said, well, what if you got to hire your entire staff? And so I said, okay, we can talk. We can kind of see what's going on over there. Yeah. And so I went and met with them, loved their ideas, did the whole interview process, ended up getting offered the job to help transform a 4th and 5th grade campus. And I did that for about a year. And then Navasota decided to restructure their intermediate and elementary campuses into pre-K-5 campuses. And so when they restructured, they said, hey, we really liked what you did on this 300 student campus. So we want to put you on the 800 student campus and see if you can do the same thing. And you can take your people with you. And so I was like, okay, well, when the school board kind of tells you that's what they want you to do, you can't really argue with it. So I went and I've been there this is my 3rd year. Our 4th year, I don't even know. This is my 3rd year at Webb Elementary. And I am loving being an elementary principal. I love those ages. And so it's just been a great couple of years. That's
awesome. You're right. That is probably not the typical journey, but it is a pretty amazing one itself. So just looking back in my own life, there's been so many people that have been an inspiration to me. I'm just curious, was there a moment or a person who had a tremendous impact on you as a leader?
Oh, it's such a loaded question. Because there's so many people that I feel like I would not list somebody. But when I think of like individuals along my journey who kind of got me to where I am today, I became a teacher. One of the reasons is because I honestly can't remember any teacher I ever had. I can tell you a couple other names in high school, but my elementary people, none of them stuck out. None of them connected with me. None of them, I never felt a part of anything at school. And so I wanted to be a teacher to be different. And so then I got connected on social media as an educator, and that's what totally blew the doors open and let me see the possibilities that are out there, people that are like me, people I can learn from. And when I was really considering making the leap into administration, 2 men, Jimmy Casas and Eric Schiniger, were great mentors for me and providing me insight and having me think about things and really run through those ideas. And even though they're both secondary principals, or were, They both were great mentors to me and really honest and really helped build me up and help me see leadership qualities in myself. As far as after I became a leader, somebody who really affected my journey and my path is Donna Lynn Miller. Not only just me reading her books, but then getting to know her and now get to calling her a friend, as well as Kim Bearden, who's the co-founder of the Ron Clark Academy. I think Kim has had probably one of the most profound impacts in my life, just because of the fact of she was somebody that I idolized, that I wanted to emulate, that I wanted to just take all of her qualities and just be like her. And now she's like one of my great friends, and she wrote the foreword in my last book. And she'll call me up and ask me advice on things, and I'll call her, and I'm like, I'm getting to call Kim Bearden right now. So those people are like people that have been really monumental. There's been people along my path that have played a part as well, and really helped grow me. Guys like Ben Gilpin and Brad Gustafson, who are just some of my greatest friends. I think of people like Stephen Lampkin, like you played a huge part in my role, especially over the last year, that we've really become good friends. And then guys like Travis Crowder, who just fixing to release my new book with. That guy is like one of the smartest guys I've ever met in my life. And the things he comes up with is just brilliant. And so I think I really try to surround myself with people who are better than me, because I know that you are who you surround yourself with. So if I'm constantly surrounding myself with people who I feel are better than me, and not in a detrimental way, like I put myself down kind of way, but in a way that I know they bring strengths that I don't necessarily possess. And it kind of helps me feel like I'm growing those in me, because I'm surrounding myself with people who I know have areas that I'm weak in.
That's great advice. I'm curious, you talked about characteristics. What are some characteristics that you believe that a quality leader should possess?
One of the most important is, I think, is empathy. And I'm a really empathetic person, and I tend to connect too deeply, which is why I wanted to be a social worker at one time, and I can't disconnect myself from those issues, and so I couldn't do that. But I think empathy is hugely important for a leader, so that way they can understand what their people are going through. And I know I'm not perfect, and I make a lot of mistakes in that area too. I'm still growing there. But I think that's really important. I think the constant learner is huge too, because I never feel like I'm an expert at anything, and I always feel like there's always more for me to learn. So like for me as a leader, I'm always going and teaching classes, going to new PD, going and finding where I'm weak and and learning, just like I ask my teachers to do. And so I think those two are probably the biggest, and a risk taker, knowing that I'm not going to be complacent in doing the way things have always been done, even if it's successful. I think that there's always ways to be better, and we never reach the pinnacle. And so keeping that in the forefront of my mind, I think that's what leaders need. They need to know that you can't ever think that we've reached it. We're there, because you're never there. So it's always just working and fine tuning and just getting better and better.
Definitely. And as I'm, growing in my leadership also, I've noticed how important campus culture is. I'm just curious, how do you positively impact your campus culture as a leader?
Oh, campus culture is a beast, especially the larger your campus gets, the more difficult it becomes to maintain a positive culture. And the things you do don't always work again and again and again. So it may be great to do one time, but then it doesn't work as well the next time. And so culture is one thing that is an ever evolving, always changing thing. And for me, I've got to put reminders sometimes to do certain things to help maintain that culture. And that may mean being really visible. That may mean writing notes to members of my staff, calling their family and bragging about them, bringing little gifts with like stupid little sayings on them. I say stupid little, but you know what I mean. Like little, like just keep swimming on a little bag of goldfish or something. Because when you are having a rough day, those insignificant, dumb little things really do make a difference. And so I think for me, it's remembering that there never is anything too trivial that can end up making a big difference in somebody's day. And so just finding those moments and really keeping my finger on the pulse of knowing when someone's having a rough day, and even being like, you know what? I know today's been real rough. Go take 30 minutes for you. I'll cover your class. Go enjoy some time just to pull yourself, get in a better mindset. And so I'm always trying different things. And like today I made waffles for the whole staff for Teacher Appreciation Week. And it was crazy and wild, and it wasn't that difficult. It was just time consuming, but it's something that I hope helps continue to build culture and lets the staff see that I really care about them.
Mm-hmm. No, those are great ideas. So you had talked about risk taking, and obviously there's some creativity in some of the things you were talking about. How do you transition that from your vision and your beliefs to it actually occurring on your campus within your organization?
I get in the trenches. Everything I ask my team to do, I'm going to do alongside of them. I'm not going to expect anything that I'm not going to also do. When I think about adding new things, I always say, if we're going to add something new, what can we take off the plate? So really thinking about that too. And, you know, my team knows I really feel like I try to be really transparent. If I'm going to be off campus, I tell them exactly where I'm going to be, even if it's like I was going to a doctor appointment. I tell them I'm going to a doctor appointment. It's here, and I'm going to be gone for this many hours, because I really don't want them to think that I'm off gallivanting around or off doing this or that. I want them to know exactly where I am at all times. And so, but when I think about, you know, being different and being that transparent self, I feel like it really shows my team how much I really care about kids and care about this, and that it's not just a facade and not just me saying it. So that way, when I come up with crazy ideas, or when they come up with crazy ideas, I'm very much of a let's go do it. Let's go change that. And you know, I'm really proud of the team that I have, because it's taken a couple of years, but they are risks and asking for forgiveness later. Because you know, the first couple of years, when you can tell your team all you want, you know, ask for forgiveness and not permission, and go do big creative things, they're not going to do that for a while until they can see that you're really somebody they can trust, and really somebody that is not going to shoot them down every time they mess up. And so it's been really exciting this year, because this is year 3 at the same campus for me, to see a lot of that happening. And I go down the halls and I'm like, this is amazing. And they're like, yeah, I didn't ask. I'm like, no, you don't have to ask. I'm so glad that this is a surprise that I got to walk into, that I didn't know this was happening. And so it's things like that are really cool.
Yeah, trust is so important. It's very
yeah.
I'm just trying to think about, for those who are maybe starting their journey, what experiences do you think that they need to have? Because, you know, I'm thinking about it as a teacher going to an administrator. That's really a big jump. And I'm just curious what your thoughts are, as maybe some experiences that a teacher can be a part of to really get them prepared for admin.
Well, you know, I think if you're an educator who's looking to move into administration, I think the first thing you should do is go meet with your administration and say, what leadership opportunities can you provide for me? Like, is there a PD that I can lead? Is there an organization I can run? Is there an after-school program I can be put in charge of? Because me too, if I have somebody that I know is looking to become an assistant principal or a principal, and if I'm going to be off campus for a day, even if my APs are there, I will say, hey, I'm going to get you a sub for half a day. I want you in the office, and I want you to practice running some things and doing some things, because they have to have that leadership role. I remember one of my favorite principals that I worked under, she told me, she said, I'm doing my job if I'm making you so marketable that other schools are trying to steal you. She said, if I'm not growing you and making you marketable, I'm not doing my job. And I've thought about that a lot, and I've started having conversations like that with my team this year, and several teachers have been like, well, what if people do start reaching out? And I was like, well, I mean, hopefully I've built enough relationship that you'll want to stay, but that's my job. I want to grow you. I don't want to lose you, but people that want to move up, I want to help them move up, because that's what I was hired to do. It's not just serve the kids. I've got to serve the adults too. So that's what I would say, you know, go to your administration and ask them for opportunities. The other thing is keep a very open mind. As an educator moving into administration, first thing I wanted to do about a month in is I went and found my former principal and I apologized. And I told her, I said, I am so sorry that I did not respect your position enough to tell you how much you mean to the school on a more often basis. I did not realize how lonely being an administrator is, because there's a lot you can't share with your team that you have to deal with. And I didn't realize how much goes on. Like, I have a calendar, but yeah, right. I mean, that calendar is just to help me keep sort of organized, but there are like 1,000 fires to put out all day long, whether it's a parent, a student, teachers, curriculum, central office, it doesn't matter. The state of Texas, there's always something going on. And because of my transparency, I think that's helped my team understand a lot more too of what's going on, where they're much more understanding if I can't come right when they call, or if I miss a meeting that I was supposed to be at that was on the calendar, just because there's some things I can't account for, and then I can't go and explain because a FERPA or this or that. I can't go tell you why I couldn't be there, but I just go, you need to trust me that there was a really good reason why I wasn't there.
And so I'm going to close with this question. What do you think has been the most joyful part of being a leader?
Oh goodness, I love getting to see change happen. Change is uncomfortable always, but I love change, and so getting to know that I'm helping lead that change, that has probably been one of my favorite parts. Is getting to see kids' lives change, getting to really invest in the educators and my team and see their lives change, and then watching me change and reflecting over the last couple of years and seeing how much I've grown, not only as a leader, but also as a human being, and an educator. And so I think that has been probably my favorite.
Awesome. Todd, how can our listeners reach out to you through social media?
Oh, goodness. I would say just Google my name or go to my website, toddnesloney.com, because regardless of what social media tool you use, if you go to my website, there's a link to all of them. So you can connect with me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, wherever is your choice. But you can check me out at toddnesloney.com.
And I know you got a new book coming out, so
yes,
I want to give you a little time for that too. What's your book about?
Everybody needs to go out and buy it because I am so stinking proud of. I'm proud of all the books I've been a part of, but this one is a passion of mine over the last couple of years, and it's called Sparks in the Dark. It's written with my buddy Travis Crowder, who is a secondary English teacher out of North Carolina, and it's a book all about reading and writing instruction, whether it's ideas, practices, campus-wide, in your classroom, all curriculum areas, and we're just so excited to get to have that kind of step in sharing our beliefs and ideas and practices that we've seen and used in a classroom, and then what we've learned along the way. And so I'm super pumped about the book. I'm totally obsessed with the cover. It is like my favorite cover ever. And so I'm just really excited for the world to get to kind of check it out. We got some killer people to endorse, and we got Penny Kittle to write a foreword. And so I'm just really excited about this book and hoping that the public likes it as well.
That's awesome. And for the listeners, we'll be continuing this podcast, so please check us out on iTunes and share your reviews. And again, thank you so much for joining us, Todd.